Okay. That was very funny. Otter was very upset. He was just like not thrilled. Um, okay. So I already posted the workout just in case you hadn't noticed. And if you have, it's been there for ages.
Oh, there it is. Yep.
Yeah. And that you have to pull sometimes on whatever you're using, you have to pull the chat over. Um,
Yeah.
so we have some single leg deadlifts today. This could be, and again, kind of, weights here are going to be relative. If you have them, great. If you don't, that's okay. We'll do our best. And the push up into with a toe reach is meant to be like part, it's not quite sun salutation. I don't think of it that way, but it's sort of, you can scale it to make it as hard as you'd like, or just kind of like a nice full body active stretch. So the push up can be heavily assisted, or we can even modify it to make it harder if that's what you want today. Um, we're doing 8 single leg deadlifts, that's per leg. And then we have 6 push ups and a toe reach. That's going to be both right and left. So 2 reaches per push up. And you're going to repeat that 6 times. Okay. From there, we have 5 times through. And 5 is a lot. So I will see if this works out. If we get to 4 and you're like, nope, you're like, thanks, so I'll pass. It's okay to speak up and be like, I have a question. Why? But these, they're not terrible. Like, none of the volume here is going to be too high, roughly anyway. But if it does feel excessive or you have a bigger training block later this afternoon, you're doing a double, we can reconsider. 5 times through, 20 plank pull throughs. We've done these ages ago, but I'll discuss those again. 10 per side. So we're not going to change legs for 10 reps. I said reverse lunges. The knee raise is a bonus, more for balance. These can be fully unweighted, by the way. They can also be weighted, should you choose. And then 10 per hand position, mixed grip marching steps. So it's a lot of words for you. You're going to one hand on your shoulder with a weight. If you have 2 weights, you're going to have one hand overhead, and you're going to step in place like you're marching 10 times and then switch, right? 10, switch. So this is mixed grip, just means we're not keeping the grip even. So here or by your sides. It's it's a little wobbly and kind of on purpose. If you only have one weight, that's fine. It's gonna be a single-sided marching steps. We're just gonna switch after 10 steps. So we're gonna have, basically, think like you're carrying a suitcase or you're carrying something unevenly. That's basically 10 per side. And then we have 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. I said we're at 6 rounds of prone Superman. So we'll be belly down, lifting our hands and feet up. And then we have Russian twists, which we've also done before. We'll make sure this all feels good. We're gonna kind of not fast forward through the warm up. We're all in pretty warm places. Think
Yeah.
I think, well, okay, I'm compared to Meg anyway. For sure compared to Meg, but my heater just started, so I'm gonna keep my M&M feet on. Thank you very much. Until the heat starts to work. So forgive the footwear. I did not put on my socks this morning. Let's just start with some cat cows. You're welcome to keep your volume on or off. It's up to you. We're not doing anything super strenuous yet, so don't worry about, your workout noises being an issue. Let's start with some cat cows. Um, just kind of allowing that back to move a little bit. You're doing 10 of these. At the bottom, I guess it's the cow part when your belly button's down. It's okay to have tension between your belly button and um your kind of pubic bone. It's not meant to be a super passive position, at least not in this case. I won't speak for Joseph and yoga, but this is meant to be kind of an active position. After 10 of these, right, or so. Moving our bird dogs, just kind of finding our balance. So we're looking for legs extended, right? Opposite arm, we lift the foot, maybe, right? And then come back. Biasing kind of a nice neutral position, right? So we're not changing this too much. If you want to continue to move up, you can. I'm not. Total of 10, that's 5%. So our usual. But just these legs, that's also fine. So if you don't have room forward, it could just be a leg. Right, we're biasing that hip position, the shoulders just a bonus. Once you completed 10 total, it's okay if we're kind of finishing it off. Let's get some kind of upper back rotation, reaching one hand to the ceiling. I'm going to thread that hand through this gap between my wrist and my elbow. Repeat this. And you can respect whatever that shoulder or thoracic spine, upper back is saying. 3 times. Last 2 things we're going to do for our floor work. We're going to start with actually going to add in some donkey kicks. We've done these before, maybe, just in case you haven't. It's a way to activate your glutes a little bit. Not really a glute bridge. It's kind of the inverse. And it's going to be something where I'm in a tabletop position. I'm going to use my left leg, so the one closest to the camera here. And as I lift, my back is pretty neutral. I'm kind of just hanging out here in the middle. And I'm going to lift my left knee off the ground, right? I'm going to imagine, and I'm sorry in advance, this is my fuzzy avocado. He's fine, but I'm going to imagine squeezing him between, or you can use a towel, right? Squeezing something, right? So we're kind of squeezing the butt. I'm not going into any extra extension here. And it's going to be a pretty particular, for me, glute engagement, right? Kind of. So if you have like a dish towel, a sock, doesn't matter. Just something to squeeze can be really helpful. Avocado's not required. But it could be one of those things where we're going to squeeze something behind our knee and lift that up 10 times. And the height of that back knee is not important. Obviously, if you're going to cramp, please don't. Just take a break. That's silly. No need to. First time I did this, I'm like, it's not so bad. And I was like, oh, I take it back. That's terrible. I mean, not terrible. Personally, for me, more challenging than it looks. How about that? 10 per leg. This is kind of a different, I would say, approach. I often use glute bridges to start waking up a little bit. Just a different way to do it. But I do find squeezing something behind my knee is helpful, just so the closer that angle is, that heel, the closer your heel is to your butt, or that intention is there, the more glute activation you're going to get. The next one we're going to do an opposite leg, just so we get a little balance here, is our lateral, like it's an adductor stretch. So basically, I'm going to show you from the front and then the side. So I'm going to be in my tabletop, and I'm going to go ahead and kick my left leg out, right? So from the side, I'm here, right? And I'm going to go ahead and send my right hip back. It's a gentle stretch. It's nothing crazy. And if you feel like you're going to pull a hamstring, so I feel a stretch on this inseam here. Give me a change direction on the camera. And a little stretch on that opposite hip or glute. If that doesn't make sense to you, or that's feeling a little bit uncomfy, maybe we just hold that position, or we avoid that altogether. But just wanted to give you the option. We are confined by space. It's okay also to just take a break.
It's a little spicy. I must be a little sore there, but
A little spicy. You also don't have to move carry. So this is one of those where movement is optional. You might be like, well, no, that's it. Thank you. I found it. I don't need to start oscillating back and forth if that's like you feel like all joking aside, pulling your groin is your adductor, right? In that inseam, if you were to measure an inseam, pulls and ties into your groin. Pulling that is not a good time. It's as funny as it sounds. It is kind of like pulling a hamstring. It takes forever to heal. It's not worth doing it in a stretch. So if you can't breathe in through your nose, fully exhale, just in the hold, we can just stop that. That's not necessary anymore. Okay. Um, okay, let's do this. Let's talk about, since we're on the floor, our push-ups and our toe reaches. I think it's official. I can take my M&M feet off now. So push-ups can be assisted heavily. That's fine. The toe reach part is kind of like a down dog. So I'm going to use my knees for this, my butt squeeze, because I'm not warmed up yet. I'm going to come down. I'm going to lay down to my push-up, right? And then take it up. I can warm up if I need to, right? A little up dog, or right, more of a push-up style. Hips go back. And then from here, I'm not going to move my feet too much. I'm going to just reach my hand to my opposite foot or towards. Okay, I don't touch. That's one. Then I push up. Right, and repeat. Right. So this is, so I'm kind of balancing. You can go same leg, meaning left hand, left foot. I don't really mind. And I'm heavily modifying my push-up because I want to. But if you feel like making it harder, you certainly can. Let's just try one or two of these. One rep being one push-up. You're going to reach right and left. So right arm, left arm. It's okay just to reach for, or just touch your kneecap if you can't reach your toes. I barely touch my toes, right? And that's okay. So that's kind of what 2 reps feels like. Your single leg deadlift. This is one of those things we've done plenty of times by now. So just as a reminder, your front foot's going to remain forward. So there's no toeing out here. You're going to be pretty forward. And your foot can remain down, or your foot can start to come up. Okay. This is all about your hip. So my hip is going behind me as I do this. Right. I'm on the leg closest to the camera. And I'm going to send my right hip back. I might lift my left foot. I know you can't see it. And then we're going to send that back. I'm going to stand back up. My balance is horrific today. But you get the idea. Let's go ahead and do 8 reps per side. If you have the option for weights, let's add them. That could be in each hand. You have no weights. Let's just lift the back foot and make balance the bias. Either way, 8 per side. Hips go back. Foot can come up. Right here. Whoop. See that? Turbulence. Or we foot down. Right? And it's all about that hip joint, not about your shoulder getting lower. When we're using a singular weight, this can be, right? Opposite. No, it's black on black. Sorry, I carried. So
I always, I
left.
always have to think about it.
Can you see it? No. So left foot, right hand, or it could be same sided. This is a matter of taste, whatever
Yeah.
works best. But either way, I don't want you dropping the shoulder, going the other shoulder. So both shoulders should still be kind of even as well. That makes sense. So I'm going to create some color contrast. I am very much black on dark green, which is very helpful here. So instead of coming down right now and you're kind of dropping the shoulder,
Okay.
we're going to keep that chest up. So I'm still deadlifting here, but I'm
Right.
not dropping that shoulder to get that to the ground. Yeah. So you want to almost think about keeping your shoulders even, right?
Yep.
And your hips even. Beautiful. Yeah. Or think this, if you name tag TMT, you shouldn't be hiding that from me.
That's a good visual.
Don't hide your name tag or, whatever it is, right? And that will allow us to just, and I will say, when you're doing a single-sided weight hold, it's a little weird because we're on a single leg and we're unevenly loaded. I find personally, if I'm going opposites, left foot, right hand, or vice versa, personally, much prefer it. Some people prefer a same side. If you're left foot, left hand. You can try both, Carrie, and just recognize which one you like more.
I've never had a super preference. I usually go right and right,
Okay.
but I'm noticing I don't know if I'm even there. So like I'm
It
right and right.
looks less tilty. The instinct is to tilt less for you, it seems.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be like they both have their benefits. So I'm not really upset by either one. It's just recognizing, like, you obviously seem a little more like agnostic to the idea. But anytime I load the same leg, same arm, um, that almost feels like I'm emphasizing that leg more, which is not actually a bad thing. That could make my 18 pounds feel a little heavier if I run out of weight choices and I want to make my weights a little harder for myself. Um, but if I'm looking more for balance, maybe it's already heavy enough. That's where I'm going to go with what I'm comfortable with, or maybe I push it on purpose. So both are
I'm gonna
correct.
try to keep the opposite because I feel more work happening, even though it's um more weight on the one side to the opposite.
Yeah, that's
Feel
okay.
more.
Yeah. It's also okay to experiment with this. You can try a little both. So we're doing, right, 8 reps per leg. Maybe if you're trying to experiment with this, maybe you seem pretty comfortable, but you can, like, I'm not sure. You can do 4 reps per grip position. Just to get a little taste of both. 8 reps per leg. Once you've done that, that's when we're going to move into our push-ups, right? The push-up toe reach. We're doing 6 of those. We're going to total of, I said 4 sets. Let's check in at the end of 3 and see how we're feeling. I know it's only the second-ish week of January. Third, I don't know. It's early. So early in the year. So if this volume feels a little bit much for where you're at, it is okay to stop at 3, but let's check in at 3. If you're doing the I say toe reach, it could be literally like touch your kneecap instead of your shins even on these. We're getting to the ground and coming back up. If you're gonna warm up, just make sure you squeeze your butt a little bit to protect your low back as you're coming out of that push-up. Good. See, Reese, you look great there. If you want to make this more challenging, I know your weight choices are limited. You can bend the knee a little more, right? We kind of increase that range of motion. Right? So as your hips go back, you can start to bend the knee a little more as if you were starting to touch the ground. I guess it's technically a Romanian deadlift, but who's splitting hairs here? Um,
I'm gonna be thinking about name tags all day now.
yeah. Well,
Don't leave your
like
name tag,
logo.
man.
Yeah, if there's like a logo on the shirt, you should be able to see.
Yeah, that's always a good one. Right. Okay.
Because the deadlift is inherently your chest has to come forward. That is the nature of a deadlift. It's normal. A lot of times the question is like, but when do I stop? And this could be either proprioception drill, as in we just don't know unless you have a visual, someone telling you, or a mirror, or some sort of video to tell you otherwise, and usually a profile. So like doing it like this way, it's easier to kind of see your back angle. It's easiest to tell. The other thing is also, that's actually the big piece there is proprioception, but also like core engagement. Like, am I actually supporting my upper body? It's like when babies are new, they're just like, they just sit there and they're just, gravity's doing all of it. And then it gets stronger and they're like, whoa, this is weird. I'm sitting up. So that's us kind of figuring out when my body weight comes forward or my hips go back, how do I balance my mass? And if you're extra flexible, right? I think this is a little harder. I say, or more flexible, if anything. Maybe not extra, but more flexible. It's, you don't necessarily feel a stretch reflex in your hamstring, whereas someone who's very, very stiff might just be like lean forward and their hamstrings kick in right away. So they come with their own set of, I would say, I won't say complications, but own set of rules. Be a little more flexible than not.
Oh, 6 push-ups.
6 on these push-up toe reaches, or you can say even knee taps, if you will. I will say this much: if you get dizzy at any point, especially with your hips above your head for that long, go ahead, just take a knee. Just sit down on the ground, or we can come back to standing on each one if that does help. That ends up being more of an inchworm, but you know what? As long as you don't get dizzy, good. Yeah, and that dresser, yeah, use that dresser carry. That's great. Just knowing that something's like, you can kind of
I was like, oh, there it is.
no, but no, it's good. They sometimes just having a little security blanket. Like yesterday, I was doing not this, but a single leggy thing, and I had a PVC pipe, and I was just like, I just knew it was there. I could use it. Just a little, like, okay, I could. And it was just a security blanket that I knew was available.
You look really hard. There's an ode to Johnny Mac behind me
Yes,
because there's nowhere else for it.
there's nowhere else. You can find a way. But you're not wearing your sparkly evening gown, Carrie, so I don't know. I feel like you're a little underdressed for the occasion, but that's okay. I think we'd forgive this.
I think I may have been using too much weight in the past because I'm
Yeah.
finding like, so I'm doing opposite leg, opposite arm.
Yeah.
Just my balance was off, which I'd like to go heavier, but I know that I have to
Well, yeah, we'll say
build
if you're
that up.
lifting your back leg, so I predominantly demonstrated a back leg lift, in fairness. You can't keep your back foot down. I think the tricky thing with the back foot down for a lot of people is they want to use their back leg. And why wouldn't you? Of course you do. But we kind of want to take the back leg. The back leg is more like a baby kickstand. It's like you're not falling over, but we're not using this to lift your body or to move your body. And so if keeping the back foot, I definitely can deadlift way more back foot down, like by tenfold, maybe fivefold. Um, so 10 pounds on a single leg deadlift, leg lifted, 50 pounds, no problem. So there's an extreme difference, but one, my balance is the bias. And the other one, load, is the bias. Like I'm trying to get a little heavier. So you can't keep that back foot down, especially if your only option is something slightly heavier. You don't have a smaller weight available. Just plant that back foot. Um, but still imagine you're only using one leg. Yeah.
What's up, Arisa? How you doing, girl?
She's good. She's on mute. She's waving.
Oh, fine. I figured nobody wants to hear me cough, so yes. I'm here alive and losing count because apparently I can't count to 5 or 6 at this
I
hour.
mean, I think in this particular scenario, the difference between 5 and 6 in the grand scheme of things, is not huge. Unlike the number of intervals completed. If you're like, at 5 of 8, may might have a different opinion. Like I did half-ish of them. But ultimately, and it depends on the interval, of course. But in this case, it's our roughly the number. And when you're saying the hip back release, I can't quite tell if it's the angle of your body or angle of your camera. It could just be the camera. Watch that back hip. It tends to want to open on you. And this is, again, pretty common. So when you're going down, right? The hip
Tape off my blur. All right. Ooh, then you get to see all the piles of junk around my house.
That's okay. This is the video part of my house. There's a stack of knitting. Don't worry. This is for show. All of my crap is behind my chair. Don't you worry. This is but so when you're coming down, the hip is not going to rotate away. Turn the back foot down towards the floor to keep your hips square.
All right.
You might start to feel potentially maybe slightly more front of that hip as well.
Okay. Well, my legs are feeling a little bit of everything because I
Great.
did that 15K on Sunday. So
No big deal. By that I mean yay.
yay. Yeah. Okay.
And honestly, when you're going for balancey stuff, you're gonna feel a little bit of everything. You might have, depending on the leg or your fatigue level, you might have a little more or less in a certain spot. But if the balance part is all these little muscle groups that are just trying to help out. So that's not a bad thing.
Oh, oops. Okay. There you go.
You feel free it's okay to blur your camera. Mostly I couldn't tell if it was a camera angle issue.
Oh.
Or if it was or if it was your actual hip movement.
Definitely my hips too.
Okay.
I was keeping in mind the the name tag portion of
That was looking great.
but forgot about the hip turn. All right.
I mean, it's your body's like, oh, wait, this is too hard. Let's go path of least resistance. Let's just open the hip. You can think name tag and toe down.
Okay.
I know it's hard to do more than one thing at once. That's okay. We're doing 4 rounds each. This was at least 3 for you, at least maybe 4. But someone's got to count. Decided.
Yeah.
Who is counting?
3 or 4. Was it 4?
Carrie's frozen, so we'll let her reconnect. What'd you say? Did you say something, Carrie?
I think I did 4. I love count like Teresa, but
3 or 4? 4? Yeah.
Let's call a 4.
Okay.
Howie?
It was 4. Yes.
It was 4. We've agreed. Consensus. I like it. So let's talk about this next part. We have plank pull-throughs. The object you're picking up is not critical, except for you should be able to pick it up one-handed. That's pretty much the only rule. The plank pull-through, pretty self-explanatory. This could also just be a plank hold, okay, for anyone who's struggling with this. But assuming we're okay to plank, just move our hands in a plank, the weight's gonna be behind my wrist here. So it's behind my right wrist. I'm gonna be in my plank shape. If this plank shape is too hard, we can be in this plank shape. That's fine. They're both great. Just make sure your butt squeeze in both positions. I'm gonna take my left hand and reach across. That's 1. Plant my hands. 2. So in this case, what I'm trying to do here, my feet are about shoulder width instead of kind of closer together, like have a normal push-up. A wider stance makes this a little easier. And speaking of hips, what we're trying to avoid is, if you look at this hip here, I'm trying to avoid
rocking the hips. I see it.
Okay.
If you do, that's okay. If you do, that's fine. But we're trying not to, right? That's the key. If you rock a little bit, totally fine. But we're trying not to just automatically open that hip. So it might feel like when you pick that hand up, and that's typically the hand you're reaching across with, it's gonna feel like you're doing this, but you're not. It's just a slight downward hip rotation. And that's kind of where you're gonna feel kind of this hip kind of ab piece or hip flexor ab stuff kick in. Okay, 20 total. Right, that's just gonna alternate. If that's far too many, take a break or do less. 10 per side alternate, or sorry, 10 per side non-alternating reverse lunges and a knee raise. These can be weighted, they don't have to be. You're gonna go ahead and step back behind you. Okay, step back, back knee can touch the ground, knee raise, knee raise. You can touch the ground each time, right? Or skip the ground altogether, right? So, but if you find lunging is painful, just change it to air squats.
And not weighted or weighted.
Can be weighted. That can be weighted. Almost the question is where, and I would say maybe holding the weight kind of in your goblet position.
Yep.
Maybe if it's, I don't know, so if I'm going left-legged, just keep this leg free, right? If you want two weights, that's fine. You can have one in this hand as well. I think it's a little, well, see in the world, not really. Yeah, I think it works. You can go single or double on that. But you can try it unloaded first, see how that feels. And then we have 10 per side. I'm going to show you the upper part of the body first. Mixed grip, marching steps. So mixed grip can be mixed grip. It could be mixed grip. This one's harder. I recommend if you have lighter weights, this one. 1, I'm stepping 10 times. You're marching in place. And then you switch. I don't care what you do. I just want it uneven. Okay. So heavier weights might be kind of in this position. If you have lighter weights, hand over your head, right? And if you have the luxury of doing so, maybe even step onto a box. Don't makeshift a box or a bench. That's sketchy. Just make sure the object you step onto, if you have the option, is stable. Any questions on our plank pull-throughs? That's 20 of those. 10 side reverse lunges with a knee raise, just to 90 degrees. Those can be unweighted to start. You can add weight on round 2. We're doing 5 of these, or maybe 4. And then hand 10 per side, or some version of a mixed grip marching step. So 20 steps, you're switching hands halfway. If you have one weight, maybe you go from here or here, and then you switch. So you don't have to use 2. Okay. So I have the privilege of 2 weights. I don't know, or just put your hand above your head for 10 steps. Your arm will get tired, I promise. You don't need a whole lot there. When you're ready, it's okay to start anytime. We're gonna check in on your 4th round. I know I have 5 written here. Let's check in at round 4. Let's see how we feel. So even that plank shape, so go keep your hips closer to the ground. Yeah, there we go. If you need to widen out your feet, so meaning make your feet closer to shoulder width with a little triangle, that might feel slightly less wobbly. Carrie, you're doing great. I can't see you. Nailed it. You're doing great.
Nailed it.
You don't need to show it. You don't have to change your camera angle for that.
It's all good. I'm not.
Maxine goes to work out, goes below her workbench. I'm like, you're doing great, Maxine. Can't see what you're doing, but I think you're doing great. It was that is the perk of being, I'll say, well, yes, the perk of being in person, but also the perk of having like the option to move around you. But that is okay. I think this is the next best thing. I had a client who had like the Facebook portal, which was very confusing because it kept looking for her face, which is what it's for. She would be moving around and I'd be like, I'm getting motion sick watching this camera trying to find you. She didn't know how to turn it off.
Oh, jeez.
I was like, it's okay. We'll make it work. I'm just going to assume that you're not complaining. It doesn't hurt. So I think we're doing okay. That's okay. So we're staying on one leg for 10, and then you're going to switch to the leg. If you recognize there might be a leg for the lunges, if you notice there's a leg that you struggle with a little more, maybe there's a lack of activation on one side. Yep, there you go. And on that overhead arm, you're doing great, Carrie. Right?
So,
Just so you can
sorry.
straighten out the elbow. If you can't straighten out the elbow, please don't. But if you
Oh,
can,
please don't. Yes.
if you can, so if you're able to do it,
Okay.
you're like, hey, my elbow doesn't do that. Don't.
Right here.
Yeah. Right. But it sounds like you're able to extend the elbow. So let's extend the elbow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just have met people who are like, nope, my joint just doesn't go there. I'm like, okay, well then don't go there. More often than not, it's like they broke their elbow and it just never healed properly. Never set. So these
So,
end ranges are on purpose, but also like if your body doesn't go that direction, maybe we don't. Beautiful. So basically 20 total steps. You're just gonna switch hands or weights, right? Mixed grip just means uneven.
I will say, even though you can't see me doing the plank, I
Yes.
made adjustments you gave to Arisa, so it's happening.
Arisa's on mute.
I was just making, when I heard you cue her, I was like, oh my, yeah, I need to adjust.
Yeah, and it's pretty
Thank
common.
you.
It's like these things we're doing are, I mean this with the utmost respect and love. You're not special in that like everyone does it, right? Like it's just a default for most people, a default thing. Um, and that's great. That's okay. And that makes it, I would say it's kind of one of those general cues I can give. Like it's more specific than hold a plank shape and squeeze your butt, but it's not so specific that like if I'm in person, I can see a little more. But if you feel like basically this is one of those, as you pick up the hand that you're going to move the weight with, you should be feeling the ab on, or one of, I know it's not singular, but the ab on that side too. And rotating your hip down just a little can help. If you're someone who's already pretty even, that rotation is going to feel off balance. And it's less common, but you shouldn't feel like you're rotating inwards. Good. Oh, lovely. Looks like you're both into round number 2. And you can use that foot as a touch point at any point. So no need to fall over in any of these. With the lunges, you can lunge, reverse lunge, foot on the ground, then knee raise. Right. And your back knee does not need to touch the ground on the lunge. It can, but it is not a movement requirement here. I mentioned already, but in case single leg work is problematic, we can reduce the volume, or of course, just stick to 2-footed squats.
I lost count. That
10.
sounded like 10.
Yeah, it's close enough. Feels like 10. It's probably 10, you know? We know there's difference between 5 and 10 reps. You're like, oh, that was closer to 5. There you go. Now it's unlikely you're going to carry your suitcase above your head. However, do you want to say hi to Carrie and Arisa? Nikki Brown is here. He's in your favorite outfit.
Oh yeah. Good morning, Nikki. Bringing it.
Never looked better. This is such an unflattering silhouette. It is objectively very comfortable.
The
And
perfect outfit for plank pull-throughs though.
yeah, but you won't be able to see. There's too much fabric. You'd be like, where's my dumbbell? I've lost it. No, I will say, like, Nikki bought a second one because he's wearing his too much. He's like, I need to wash this, and I want one while I'm washing the other one. And then I might have taken it instead. But you can't tell anybody that because I hate it, but I love that I hate it so much.
You blame Janet. She's the one that started this.
That's true. We can blame Janet. I'm okay with that.
Fashioned by Janet.
You know what? If it was fashion, there would be a belt. Sorry. I'm just that silhouette doesn't work for anyone. I don't care who you are. However, very functional. And when your house sits around 55 degrees on a regular basis, perfect.
That is chilly.
Yeah. We have heat in one room. It's the room I'm sitting in. So hence the heating pad for the cat, because she generally does like get a little like puffy and like she turns into a little loaf and she's like, but won't be covered. She refuses to be covered up. She's like being, and then for us, it's like, can we just take the edge off? We have carpet in our hallway and we love to make it hardwood, but it would be so much colder. Like it would look great. Like it would look stunning. However, it would make the whole thing an actual ice box. So the carpet is doing us something here, so I have to keep the carpet. Nice work with the lunges. This might seem kind of like a random thing to do, but next time you're on a hike and you have to step on a big thing or step over a log or step over your dog or your kids with groceries in your hand, I promise you'll find this skill very useful. Standing on one leg. It's not bad for you.
All right.
Beautiful. Grip. Yep. And your mixed grip. Yeah, in this case, don't worry about the downward hand. All I want you to focus on is locking. Yeah.
Locking.
Your opposite hand to the ceiling. Yeah. Good work. This is 3 for you, Carrie, right?
Oh no.
Sorry, third round. Sorry. Sorry. Third round. Excuse me.
Oh yeah.
I'm finishing mine.
You're like, that's definitely more than 3 pounds.
Yes, finishing 3.
Great. Definitely more than 3 pounds. I can
not see the sweat on my face.
Yeah. I have 10 that I demonstrate with, but I usually, besides it's in the morning and I'm not working out. So my 20 pounds stays over there. My 35 kettlebell stays over there because no one needs that when you're demonstrating.
Yes. I usually have 8s, 10s, 12s, and 15s, and then a 25 kettlebell.
Cool.
And I often wonder if I need something else, but I feel like that hits.
That's a pretty good range. I don't know if you need more than that. I mean, you could look, I will say if you do all these and you're like, what's next? That's super easy. Then I would say, and we've already increased the volume and we've done the pauses and we've gotten creative. Yeah, sure, maybe. Do you need them? Not necessarily. I don't. The only thing I would say maybe would be helpful for to go have heavier is kettlebell deadlifts.
Yeah.
But if you're doing that for one lift, having a 50-pound kettlebell in your house, is it worth it?
Right.
I don't know.
You have a 40-pound one. I omitted that one. Just for the special occasions, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or very handy for tying up your dog. We have, so a lot of the gyms I work at have dog areas, right? We're like, hey, dogs need to be over here. so our fur babies don't get in the way of barbells or people. And sometimes our bigger dogs are very cute but a little dumb, and we attach them to kettlebells so that they are much heavier than, but they're like, hey, I'm attached, I can't go anywhere, and so they don't go anywhere. 100-pound dog, 50-pound kettlebell, and she's like, okay, and sits there because she doesn't know. So she doesn't know. So attach your dog to a kettlebell. It's great.
I like that. I'm gonna remember that.
And if you're going like to a picnic, same thing. Just bring the kettlebell and see what happens. I mean, your dog might pull the kettlebell, but it'll be a bit of a, ooh, that's a shock. It'll slow them down a little, we hope. Especially if it's harnessed, not neck-based. The tricky thing about buying weights, especially from manufacturers, is you also pay for shipping. Well, the weight. So I will say, if you're looking for, I would say, new to you equipment, not new period, if you're considering more weight, or this goes for anybody, check out, like, look at your local gyms. They might be just recycling, like just replacing equipment that just is still good. It just looks a bit worse for wear, and they want to look shiny and new. Or unfortunately, in some cases, gyms that are going out of business and they need to sell stuff, and they're like, take it, we'll sell it. So that's always a good way to get some new to you equipment. That's how I got most of my stuff. $2 a pound, literally. I just bought it. Like, if you could take it, it's $2 a pound, give us the money. You're all. And there was no shipping fee. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. One of my sisters ordered a weight set shipped to their house, and I saw the box and it looked like it was taped so many times over. Probably because they didn't want the box to rip or something.
Possibly, or they just didn't pack it correctly the first time. Like, if it's coming from the manufacturer, in the same way you get a bike, they're not actually gonna put it in a box and be like, you're good, right? You like that? Great, excellent, right? It's not gonna, but it's one of those things where if it's coming from the manufacturer, it should be in a position, like, there should be, the plates should be in a certain way, and they pack it in a way that's not gonna break the box. We did have a kettlebell, we ordered a kettlebell back in Boston, and they threw it at our front door because the driver was not a fan. And I was like, that's 35 pounds at our front door. Maybe we don't. And the box was just, it was rough. Door was fine, thank goodness. But I was like, I mean, can you not throw a 35-pound weight at our front door? Maybe on the front step if you're having a bad day, but maybe not at the door. Good work. Was that 4 or 5?
I think, was it 4?
4. Beautiful. I had 5 written. We don't have to do that, right? Because it is 6:59. So there we go. We're done. It's official. I'm going to show you, just for the sake of demonstration, the Pro and Supermans, as well as the Russian twists, but don't feel like you have to do them, or do them a little bit later. Your Pro and Supermans, I'm going to go at a diagonal because I can't fit in my own living room here, is going to be, right? We're going to be toes together, thumbs up, butt squeezed, hands, I don't care, Y shape, I shape, head down. We're going to go ahead and lift, keep the butt squeezed. I'm looking for height and length. Back down. Or maybe just holding, if you want to just hold. Okay. Those are your prone Supermans. Prone just means downward facing. Russian twists. Basically, you can have your heels on the ground or off the ground. And it's going to be, so heels down or up. I'm going to go heels down because that's more effective for me. And the way I describe this exercise is, you want to think the muscle you're working, without being overly technical. If you imagine male models, think Abercrombie and Fitch. Yeah, that V cut. That's what we're working on. I mean, we're not gonna look like them, that's okay, but that's the muscle we're gonna be feeling. Everyone I tell that analogy is like, ah, I got you on that one. Heels down for me is fine, but you can go heel up. And you can take an object. I'm actually pretty comfortable with just literally taking my hands at 12 o'clock. So 12 o'clock, rotating slightly right, my knees don't move, and then slightly left. And I already feel that. Now, if you need a little bit of weight, and again, I know the avocado is not weight, but if you need something, okay, you can rotate your object if that helps. But we want to make sure we're still feeling it here, and we're not.
Not sitting down. Okay.
We're not letting the knees, we're not skiing. Okay. So this is one of those things where you only as upright as you need. Yeah. And it's just, you're just kind of rotating. Again, heels up or heels down. But we're not, the knees aren't following or going the opposite direction. The rotation's pretty isolated to the upper body. So object or no object, there you are. Those are your two movements. We are officially out of time, but I just want to demonstrate those just in case we want to try those later or after this. Just 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, and you're gonna switch or do each movement once. Okay. Beautiful work today. Thank you for showing up. I hope you have a lovely Tuesday, and I hope to see you guys next week.
Awesome.
If you have any questions, let me know. I'll try and be my goal this year, or a goal, not the goal, is kind of checking in on Discord. I'm not there all the time because I already have 4 Slacks and 2 jobs. 3 I know it's too many. My point is I can't be on Discord all the time, but if you kind of like at me or whatever that is, however you do it, you can be like, hey, I have a question. What does that mean? How does that work? This hurts me. Or you can directly message me instead of publishing to the strengths channel so that you don't have to tell everyone how much hurt you are. You can figure it out. Okay. Nice work today. I'll see you guys next week, I hope.
Awesome. Happy Tuesday.
Bye.
Thank you.